magnificent surrounds of Newsells Park stud near Royston in Hertfordshire. The setting tonight for our look ahead to Royal Ascot 2025. Thank you all so much for coming this evening. What a beautiful, beautiful setting for this second Newsells Park, Fitzdares, Nick Luck Daily podcast, quintessentially anybody else, Royal Ascot preview. We've got a wonderful panel for you. Royal Ascot winning trainers, Roger Varian, Charlie Fellowes, John Gosden, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a big round of applause. And the other man here might be the most influential person on the whole of Royal Ascot Week as the racing manager at Wathnan Racing, Richard Brown, ladies and gents.
Lot to live up to, Richard.
None of this, of course, would be possible without the hospitality of Graham and Marcella Smith-Bernal. It was all Graham's idea. Wanted to come back and do it again. I hope you're not regretting it, Graham.
We'll watch after tonight, I think.
But of course, since this day last year, Graham's brilliant stallion Nathaniel signed another classic winner with the Irish Oaks Heroine You Got To Me around 11 months ago. Yep. She was then sold for a huge price at Tattersalls. She's been a great flag bearer for this stud and your partnerships as well. So many congratulations. I'd love you to say a few words for us before we start. Tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're doing.
That particular horse, there's a lot of luck there, Nick, in that horse. But sorry about that. I couldn't resist it. But we formed this first bloodstock syndicate last year, the 24 bloodstock syndicate, which gave people a chance to invest 50-50 with us in a hybrid portfolio of 2 race fillies, a maiden mare, and 2 in-foal mares. And the idea was giving people who invested in that syndicate the full spectrum, the full experience of owning horses that were on the breeding side and then racing. And lo and behold, the first horse that raced for us was You Got To Me, and it went, after coming fourth in the English Oaks, went on to win the Irish Oaks. What a day for us! It was fantastic. And also for not Wathnan.
They won everything else.
They forgot to buy that.
And also Ray Beckett. It was a wonderful day, and that's really what it's all about. Dreams, this industry, and about reaching for the clouds, and we got there with our first runner. And then we wanted to hold on to her as a brood mare going forward. But when you're offered 4.8 million guineas for a horse that was bought in at a year before for 500,000, at the end of the day it's head versus heart, and sometimes the head wins. So we sold her. We wish the owners all the best. She hasn't had the best start yet, but I'm sure she'll get better as the year goes on. And then we've launched our 25 bloodstock syndicate. Those shares were virtually sold out from day one because the existing shareholders rolled in. It was more than twice the size. A beautiful portfolio of horses. Roger's got one. John's got one, I think. Yeah, she's quite nice. But it's slightly bigger this time. There's some beautiful horses in there.
Have you got one?
It's
on its way.
When he's 10 years older, he'll get one. But anyway, no. No, you'll get one, Charlie, one day. But it's a lot of fun, and as I say, it's giving people a chance to invest alongside us. And things are going from strength to strength here. We had a great sale, not just with selling You Got To Me. Our yearling sale, it was an amazing market. Unfortunately, it's becoming increasingly polarised, I think. At the top end, it's still very strong, but you can see the cracks beneath us. But we need to create a better alignment, I think, between all the stakeholders in racing, and that's definitely something that needs to happen because it's an incredible industry. It's very exciting. We're looking forward to Royal Ascot next week. We've got a few runners, including our this horse Mannequin. John Ryan's here tonight. He hasn't run for 760 days. He did attend, and he was joint favourite for winning the King's Stand as it was then 2 years ago. But he's fought back. He's an amazing horse. This will be his first run. Let's see what happens. It's unlikely he's actually going to threaten the judges, but it's about his first race back, and then let's see where he goes from there, because he was a serious horse. So we're looking forward to it. Royal Ascot. Thank you.
Amazing story, Graham. Thank you so much, and thank you for having us again. I did wonder about, just before we started, Richard Brown, if you could just give us maybe 3 minutes on each of the Wathnan runners. next week.
We got a few. Yeah, we got a few, Nick.
How many are we up? How many are we up to at the moment?
Don't know at the moment. I haven't really sat and counted. But
More pending.
No. I think the team is set,
Checkbook's
Charlie.
closed.
Yeah, I think so. So I think we've got a strong team hopefully throughout the week. Got some nice 2-year-olds, some in the handicaps, and luckily some in the Group 1s as well.
But we're all about news, on this podcast. So you've got a piece of breaking news to kick us right off. Your jockey arrangements. James Doyle's safe.
Yeah, James Doyle's very safe, and as you asked me to hold on to it, you're actually a big part of the reason this happened. Speaking to Ollie Tate, we were obviously going to have multiple runners in quite a few of the races, and jockey, James obviously rides for us. He's our retained jockey. William Buick rides for us where available, and Michael Barcelona in France, but a lot of the main guys are tied up and it's difficult. So heard James McDonald interviewed on your podcast a couple of weeks ago, spoke to Ollie Tate and to Doyler, and they thought it would be a very good idea to approach him. So James McDonald's going to come up and ride for us in quite a lot of spots where we've got 2 runners.
Wow, not a bad second/third string rider to have.
No, exactly. So he'll jump on a few, and I think we're lucky in some of the in some of the races the second strings are going to be quite strong. John's got Crimson Advocate running for us in the Duke of Cambridge. She's second string behind Fallen Angel. So James McDonald will ride her, and I think underwriter in the Coventry, Archie Watson's horse, obviously Postmodern's the favourite, so I think James McDonald will jump on underwriter, who was very impressive with there. I think he's fairly overpriced for that race. So, no, great for us and hopefully good for him as well.
Charlie, Graham was saying how he had to take the money for You Got To Me. Basher Watts would have turned it down, wouldn't he?
This is a Royal Ascot preview.
No, but we got to...
That was landing a below the belt punch immediate.
Stick to.
We've got to talk about the Prix de Diane first. The French Oaks at the weekend. You got a huge fancy in She's Perfect. How are you feeling about it?
Good, fine. She's great. I'm going to do my best impression of the man on my right and deflect and say we've got some very strong opposition. Mandanaba's a very nice filly, and it's not going to be a walkover by any stretch of the imagination, but she's in great order. The step up to 10 is interesting. I think she will stay. That is the big question mark. She's out of a Galileo mare. She should stay.
All right, good luck. Good luck to Charlie Fellowes with She's Perfect in the Prix de Diane this week. And what a class act he's been since the Pouliche. John Gosden, let's kick it off with the Queen Anne on day 1. I mean, the danger is the race is so good we could disappear down this and then not talk about anything else. But how happy are you that Lead Artist is a horse that can win this race?
Well, he won in great style the other day, the lock-in. He got stuck in the ground at Sandown. But look, I think it's probably the most in-depth Queen Anne we've ever seen. I mean, obviously, the horse who's second is outstanding. There's no reason he won't reverse it with us again at Ascot.
Gemini.
Yeah, and you've got the top 3-year-olds from last year, turn 4, had their run, tightened up for it. I think it's in a sense it's sort of 5-1 the field. All of them you could look at and make a case for. It's the best. Normally it's just one horse outstanding, very short price, and it's not much of a race. But this year you could look at all 4 of them.
And a big day for you, big day for Colin Keane as well, who's got this new job with Juddmonte. He came to sit on him yesterday. What did he think?
We were on the July course yesterday. He's happy. He came in and he hadn't seen the July course before, so he's got a feel of that all helps. And it was in pristine condition. The horse worked well, and he put up a very good account of himself for taking on what I think is probably the most elite Queen Anne Stakes I've seen in living memory.
Yeah, it's a serious race. Charlie, who would you like to train in there?
Oh, that is a good question. Who would I like to train? Well, we know quite the regard that Rosalian is held by his trainer,
Richard Hannon.
and he was a very good 3-year-old. Obviously, he had a long layoff, and he came back, and I thought he ran well. If he takes a step forward, he's a seriously good horse. So I think probably him, but that I might be being. I've got Hannon in my ears telling me how good he is on a daily basis, so that's probably warped my decision there.
We like a bit of Hannon's confidence.
Yeah.
It makes everybody feel good. Roger, you trained last year's champion miler, Sharon. Do you agree with John's sentiments that this is as good a mile race as you're going to get?
It's a very good mile race and interesting mix of horses. can make a case of 4 or 5, and if they all finish in a line, we might say it's not the greatest race, because for it to be a greatest race, we need an outstanding horse. I think the Lockheed form will be franked. I think that the finish will be fought out between the 1-2 and the Lockheed.
Between John's horse, Lead Artist, and By Dancing Gemini.
I was very impressed with John's horse at Goodwood last year. He only won a Group 3, the Thoroughbred Stakes, but that was a very strong renewal of a Thoroughbred Stakes. I trained a 4th that day. I thought he ran jolly well. And John's horse won. He bombed out at Sandown early in the season, soft ground.
Yeah. Very
Very impressive in the Lockinge. The second is a super horse, Dancing Gemini. And I think that Rosalien and
Notable speech.
we'll have to work hard to get by those two.
Interesting. Richard, I don't think Watnan have got a runner in the Queen Anne yet.
It's a very interesting horse you haven't mentioned. He's flown from America
Carl Spackler.
and he's
Yes,
on his
yeah.
way down to Australia. Now, my only hope is that he's used to going around 2 bends doing a mile, and he go looking for a turn, and there won't be one on the straight mile of Ascot. But he is a pretty fast horse.
Yeah, he's a smart horse. He's a smart horse. And Kieran
He could be
Maher
the fly in the
officially is
ointment
gonna train him. Yeah. And we had Tepin win the race, of course, a
Yeah.
few years ago, and she'd never run up the straight before. So it's
No,
not
she's
impossible.
trained by Michael Motion. He came from England. He knew what he was doing.
All right, well, look out for Carl Spackler, who was trained by Chad Brown, is now trained by Kieran Maher, but it's going to maybe win at Royal Ascot on the way. It's a hell of a race, the Queen Anne. No runner in the Queen Anne, no.
No runner in the Queen
But
Anne, no.
you do have runners, and big time, in the what is now called the King Charles III Stakes.
Yeah.
Don't you? You're loaded here.
No, I don't think
you
we're
not?
loaded. No,
Are you going to
two, I
divert?
think, Yeah.
Two's enough. Just the two.
Yeah.
It's just 2 pistols.
It was maybe going to be 3, but Flora of Bermuda's likely to switch to the 6. So got Knight Raider and Asterius, who was disappointing at York, but the ground was loose that day. It was tricky. A lot of horses ran below form, and I think we've changed a couple of things with him. He might run above his odds. Knight Raider, it was really impressive for about 5 furlongs in the Duke of York. I think he's extremely fast, and hopefully he can go and run a good race for us there.
So do you think would he be a nice bet at odds then, Knight Raider?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of money from. We bought him. He was about 20 to 1. He's about 8 to 1 now, I think. I do. Yeah, I think he's a really interesting horse. James went and rode him work the other day at Carl Burke's and was pretty blown away by him. He just said he is extremely fast. He's actually won over 7 furlongs, but I think a big question is, does he get home? I personally think he will. There was a big headwind. That day at York. It was very hard for him to go 6 furlongs doing what he was doing, but I think he's blisteringly fast, and yeah, I can see him running a big race.
He's actually not that big a price. He's only 8 to 1.
Yeah.
For the Charles III. Charlie, this is a race that you know quite well. You know what it takes to be competitive in it. I'm guessing Vadreem's going to go to the end of the week, is she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground's going to be too quick for 5 for her, so she'll run over 6.
Do you like one here?
I don't think our sprinters are much.
You don't think our sprinters are much?
No.
So is it last year's winner, the Australian
I think
Asfura
she's the filly
again?
to beat. I think she's very, she's good. We've seen what these Aussies do. We've seen how good they are. And I think they've all got her to beat. I think, although I'm not, is she favourite?
Maybe just 5 favourites with Believing. Who's in Falter Frankel?
Who's in Falter Frankel?
Yeah, she'd be the danger for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't think she's won at Ascot, but she would be the danger for me.
Ahead of the Aussie filly.
For me, yeah, I don't think the Aussie filly's had the most straightforward prep. She's coming closer, Believing, getting better with age. Sometimes you get them in foal, they can improve. But for me, Believing.
It's a fascinating comment, that.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah.
I've noticed
Can
it
be.
with some, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Ascot's
they don't have
made for
distractions like boys anymore. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Ascot's made for Believing, you say?
Absolutely. Stiff 5, strong gallop, fast ground, very hard to beat.
Okay, like that. Nice confidence behind Believing. I wanted to ask you, before we talk about Field of Gold and the horse in the St James's Palace, I want to ask you about your horse Enfajar, who's only a 4-1 shot for the Wolferton on the first day. What did you make of the comeback run at Sandown?
Quite fancied this horse for Wolferton until I read a very strong piece in a race.
Mr.
Someone
Jennings
was very
Mr.
bullish
Jennings
about
says
him
he
this
will not
morning.
be beaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best bet of the week.
I wish I hadn't read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the worst thing they can do
I thought
to
I
you.
was sneaking in quietly.
Not a bit of it.
No, I loved his running there at Brigadier Gerard. He was
He's a lovely horse.
a lovely horse. He's progressive. Had a long winter. He was a bit sore after his final run at Ayr last year. Needed a long winter. Came back in great form. Was tight to get him to anything pre-Ascot. The Brigadier Gerard fitted well. Wolferton was always a plan. He ran well in the beginning. He came there. I thought he was third best. First 2 home probably very good. I thought he got tired. The race will put an edge on him due to the little work tomorrow morning. If he comes through that okay, then we'll be very excited to run him.
Do you think he's your best chance of the week?
Who knows? There's no good chances at Ascot. You go there and you think you've got a chance, and you look at the field, and we don't have good chances. We have horses who deserve to be there.
Okay. I think Field of Gold's got quite a good chance in the St James's Palace, John.
I think that's a reasonable statement.
Yeah. How are you feeling about the race?
Fine. I mean, you've got to watch the draw on the Old Mile. It's not the straight. So if you get pinned down on the inside, sometimes it's a little difficult finding daylight.
Would you rather be a bit wider than right down on the fence?
I can't fix the draw.
No.
No.
But if you had a preference, because he's a
You've got a good draw on the PDN, you're all right.
Yeah, we did.
It's got a
Fine,
good draw.
Dan, we're okay.
Normally they put us in the roast beef,
car
put them
park.
in the car park.
You're definitely getting a wide draw now.
We overcame that one.
So provided you're not in car park 6, down in the service yard there.
No, he's a lovely
all right.
horse, he's in good order. Look, I think it's incredibly exciting. I was so sorry they didn't run that horse in the Derby, but there we go. We've got to take each other on again. That's what you need. You need 2 good fighters in the ring to make a proper boxing match. And you know what'll happen? They'll look at each other and someone else will go and get up the inner and beat him.
Is ground a thing or not?
Not with him, no. He'll be fine on any ground. Look, not extreme. It's not hard, not heavy. No, he's fine on any ground. He's in good order, but it's for a really interesting race.
And you said after the Irish Guineas you felt he was potentially as good as Kingman.
That's all right.
That's a pretty big call.
Well, he could run a bit, yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty fast. He won this pretty impressively.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So look, he's got a lot of class, and I think to that extent it'll be a hell of a race. I'd be interested to see which one of us decides to stay at a mile and step up to a mile and a quarter afterwards, but that's getting too far ahead of ourselves.
Okay, if there is going to be a joker in the pack then in that race, there's some good horses in it. Who's it going to be?
Sure, what else is it?
We haven't got the declaration.
Henri Matisse.
We've got Henri Matisse, the French Guineas winner.
Yeah.
So you've got your English, Irish and French Guineas winners, all taking each other on.
I've been a huge fan of John's horse since he won on the dry course last summer, and very hard to look past him. From a training point of view, I think the Guineas win is interesting. And John and Charlie know this. You prepare a horse for one race, and you've got a delay. Even though it's 10 days, 12 days, we train to peak, and then it's hard to peak and stay on that peak. So, he's obviously tuned for the Derby. He didn't participate. Realigned to Royal Ascot. That sounds easy, it isn't.
Also the distance. You're training him, presumably, you're training him, 1 minute you're training him for a 1.5 mile race, and then you're training him to have that kick and go again over a mile. I mean, that's got to be a very different, that can't be easy. It's a big change, that.
So would your work regimen be different? Training up to a Derby to, say, training to the St James's Palace? Would you actually train?
Your main work would probably be different.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be. I hope he's right.
But I think don't you?
I do, yeah.
To have that edge with live competition is a game of inches, and to peak with the elite athletes against other elite athletes, equine athletes, it's very hard. And I'm sure it'd be very interesting to have an Olympic athlete on the panel who's training for a race, Olympic Saturday.
Well, what I didn't tell you actually is that
a week later it'd be hard, won't it?
Yeah.
Richard, you're going to be dominant in, or Watnan are going to be dominant in a lot of the 2-year-old races in terms of the market. Whether you're dominant at the finish of the race is a different kettle of fish. But you did well last year, strong squad this time. Coventry Stakes, what are you looking at?
We've got Postmodern, who won very impressively at Yarmouth, Hamad Al Jahani.
Do you still think he's your best 2-year-old? Because that's kind of what you were hinting at the other day when we spoke.
Best 2-year-olds?
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, not in terms of the best forward 2-year-old. Obviously, we don't know about a lot of them. Most of them are still doing one at Warren Hill. But in terms of the sharp forward ones, no, I don't. I think the filly and the Queen Mary is. But for the Coventry, I think we've got 2 very good chances. Postmodern has an obvious chance, but he's just gone and won very easily. It was probably a decent enough race. And then Underwriter, as I said before, who won very impressively at Ayr. But it's very difficult. You know, you have huge respect for Charlie's horse, and then Aidan's got about 3 or 4 Wootton Bassets in there that have all gone and won first time out impressively. So, you know, not sure what he's going to turn up with, but it's all these horses that have run once, won once. It's very difficult.
Okay, well, Postmod's 7-2, Underwriter's 14-1 at the moment in the Coventry, and the filly in the Queen Mary's Elena. She's only a 7-4 shot at the moment. Carl Burke's filly, who won it at Nottingham the other day.
Underwriter each way is a very good bet.
Okay, have any of the rest of you seen a 2-year-old in this race that has knocked your socks off?
Not in the race anymore.
Okay, Albert Einstein. Yeah.
You were delighted when that dropped out, weren't you?
Not at all. A great shame for the race.
You would never wish ill on a competitor.
He did. He looked like the obvious. He was the one that I was quaking about. And like John says, you'd never wish it. But it's obviously he was the big gun. He was the undoubted favourite. So.
And you've hoovered up a nice horse out of John's French Master for the Copper Horse.
Yeah, we were impressed with him at Goodwood. Raced very sort of on and off the bridle. And then managed to still get up the inside, just found a way to win. We bought a horse out of that race a couple of years ago called Courage Mon Ami. He went on to win the Gold Cup. This horse is going to go down a different route. He's going to go to the Copper Horse. He worked yesterday, didn't he, with John put a pair of small blinkers on, and he looked to travel better, and he galloped out very well in his gallop, didn't he?
He needs to concentrate.
He doesn't really concentrate. Yeah.
So is he going to wear some blinkers?
I hope he needs something to sharpen him up.
Good.
Yeah, trainer does as well. No, Thady and I thought that, it's not a place where you get the gap there. You can't think 1, 2, 3, shall I not? You've got a gap, you've got to go. I mean, just remember about Ascot, you come into the straight on the round course and it's just over 2 furlongs. And if you're in the wrong position, forget it. And if you can't get through, you might have to swing wide. That's better doing that sometimes. But it's not an easy track. People forget what a short straight it is.
But he's quite a good horse.
Oh, yeah, he's smart.
Okay. That's French Master in the Copper Horse. 5-1 a pleasure with the blinkers on Tuesday. Right, we'll kick on to Wednesday. Have a look at the Prince of Wales Stakes first of all. Should we start with Map of Stars? Because this is a talented horse, who is quite prominent in the betting. Has come from France, from Francis Graffard, who's got a massive squad of runners.
Yeah, Francis rang me this morning at about 8:30. It's that time of year when the trainer rings you at that time of the morning. You're like, oh no. But luckily he was just calling to say the horse had worked brilliantly this morning. Scope clear.
That's disappointing.
It's in fantastic nick. He's a horse we're really excited about. I think, you could argue he might be unbeaten. He's been unlucky twice. Barza made a move down the Foal Straight there last year, which he was kicking himself about. And then we just didn't get the run of luck in the Gannet. Just had to wait to make our move. So, he could be coming in here as an unbeaten horse, perhaps, if circumstances had been different. But look, he's a colt we're very excited about, yeah.
All right, Charlie, you've got the 1, 2, 4, 5, I think, from the Tattersall's race at the Curragh, with Los Angeles and Ann Mart and White Birch. Do you think it's that form, or are we looking outside? What do you think?
Aidan. We don't like Aidan, do we? He's too hard to beat, as he showed us in the Derby. I thought Los Angeles looked good in Ireland. I think we know what Aidan's going to do. They'll come here. He's so strong, and I have a feeling he's going to be
just grind everyone into submission.
That's the way. That's what they do.
I thought the Shadwell horse travelled very well into it. Looked like he probably got tired.
Yeah.
I think he'll turn the tables, actually.
I agree with Rich.
I thought he travelled into it. I mean, rare you see a horse doing that one out, and then it just looked like he got tired. I don't like Aidan's horse. They've
come on a lot though this year. Aidan's as well, haven't they, for their first run?
Yeah, no, they have. And the ground might just be spicy enough for that horse as well. It depends what it's going to be, but if it's very lively on the first day, which they do a very good job, it just might be quick enough. But I was impressed with that horse.
Jump in, Roger.
I like Richard's horse. The horse you were unlucky not to beat won a Prix de l'Ispahan very well on its next start.
Favourite for the Arc,
Serious performance. Richard's horse was unlucky. I like Owen Barrow's horse, Anmac, to reverse with Los Angeles.
Okay.
I think Los Angeles is very tough at the Curragh. Won at Irish Derby when he looked like he would get beat. Won at Tattersall's Gold Cup when he looked like he would get beat. The stiff Curragh track really suits Los Angeles. I think the sharp shorter, straighter Ascot fast ground. I think it'll be harder for Los Angeles to grind out a result. I think they'll suit a horse with a turn of foot. I fancy Owen Burrows' horse, but I think the ground might be sharp enough for him. I'd really go strong on Richards.
Your fellow won't mind the ground.
No, he's won on both. But actually, James said that when he ran on quick ground, it was pretty quick that day in the Harcourt. He said he showed a very serious turn of foot. I would hope that those two might lock up early, and we might be able to come with and show a real good turn of foot.
Tell you what, there's another horse who might show a late turn of foot, isn't there, John? A horse called Ombudsman.
Yes, I think we're going to wait and pounce.
He's definitely going to come here. Yeah.
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 When else are you going to send him? You got any other plan in mind?
Nah, not really.
We have been planning this all year. I don't want to change that.
He'd won the Wolf.
Did we forget to declare him? No. He's in good form, Ombudsman. Yes, he would probably prefer if the ground's a bit easier, but it's a top-class race. All right, the horse that won the Dispahan, we were second to it with Sardinian Warrior. I think it's a little more open. Los Angeles just battles it out. I know the place is half on fire at the moment and the horse is on fire, but he's a tough devil and he'll just keep galloping. And the thing is that the idea of sitting with your turn of foot, they try and take that speed out of you in that style of racing. But I think there's 3 or 4, but it'll be a proper race. And it's a good depth to it. So often that race can come up thin, but it hasn't this year.
You reminded me that I forgot to ask you about Sardinian Warrior in the Queen Anne, as we're too busy.
No, it doesn't matter. We've moved on.
Well,
if we go back to the Queen Anne,
yeah,
we won't even get to the third day of the meeting.
We're all right. Just a quick, so this is a horse who ran a great race last time in France and has won at Ascot already this season, beating Docklands. So how far behind lead artist is he?
We've never worked them together, which is very important.
In your head?
No, I think he's a grand horse. He's in top form, and Mark Chan owns him, and keen to run there. He won the prep, if you like, and he's second to a horse who enjoyed the ground probably more than him, and is now favourite for the Arc.
All right, back to Wednesday then. John, keep the ball because you've got a whole load entered in the Duke of Cambridge, used to be the Windsor Forest, the mile race for fillies. Who would be your number one?
Well, the Godolphin filly will be favourite.
Yep.
She won the Darley in great style. She'd take a lot of beating.
Cinderella's Dream.
Yeah. We have James MacDonald riding one for Wathnan. Sweet filly, won a listed last time out. I can see her running into a place. And running lion Oisin Murphy will do what she did last year, probably just let her use her stride. Good race, hard to see the favourite being beaten.
But your Guineas winner from last year, El Malka, is back. Did she show you enough on her first run this season to make you think you could be coming back?
She did. I thought that was a 5-runner field, but a strong Dahlia Stakes. But the winner was very good on the day. I think Amalka's in great form, and I went and ran him at Ispahan against the Colts 3 weeks ago. In hindsight, it was probably the wrong move. She was 4th. But the positive that came out of it is it focused my mind on what trip we're going to be campaigning her over. We're a little bit in between a mile and a quarter. We're quite focused on a mile now. I think that the Ascot mile will really suit her.
Lovely stiff mile.
Yeah, and she's in great form. So Cinderella's Dream, we got 3.5 lengths to make up on her, and I thought we ran very well at Newmarket. I think Amalka, has got really strong claims to be on the podium. We need Cinderella's Dream not to run as well as she did at Newmarket.
Okay. Charlie, you've got a runner on Wednesday in the Kensington Palace.
Yep.
Rocky Mountain Way. You've got a great record with a select group of runners at this meeting. How hopeful are we?
I think she's got a really interesting chance. It's her first try at a mile. This has been the plan pretty much from the beginning of the season. She's owned by Lady Bamford and her daughter Alice. There's a homebred. She's by Lope de Vega, so she should stay the mile, no problem. And she ran a cracker last time out, finishing second over 7. Looked like she wants further. So a really interesting runner, probably my best chance of the week.
And she is a 16-1 shot with Fitzdares, Rocky Mountain Way at the moment, 16-1. Would that be a fair price?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there we are for Wednesday. And just tidying up, Richard, some of the other Wathnan runners that you've got on Wednesday. You mentioned Zelena in the Queen Mary. We talked about Map of Stars. We haven't talked about the Hunt Cup, where you've got a whole load of possibles.
Well, you missed one in the Fillies race.
Sorry, I'm going to miss them all along. I'm going to keep
the Fillies races. I think this is shaping up to be a very serious race. We're running Fallen Angel in that.
As well as Crimson Advocate.
Yeah.
Also, James Doyle on Fallen Angel, James McDonald on Crimson Advocate.
Yeah, exactly. This has been the plan for a long time, and I think it's a very strong renewal. Charlie's filly looks good. Obviously, Roger's filly won the Guineas, so she's in great nick. I think she'll run a big race. I think the stiff mile will be perfect for her.
Perfect. Okay, good. So that's. I think we're pretty much done with Wednesday. Are you going to win the Hunt Cup, John?
No.
No.
That's easy. Move on.
With Royal de France, okay, right.
Thursday.
North for Royal de France. We'll go to Thursday now. We'll start with the Gold Cup. Great place to start. Great race of the week so often, but no Kyprios this time. So what have we got? We've got in his place Illinois from Coolmore, who's just about the favourite at the moment. Candelari, exciting runner for Francis Graffard in the Aga Khan Silks, and then John's pair Trawlerman, who was second last year, and Sweet William, who runs well in all these good races. Perhaps John, you can kick us off. That old Trawlerman. Any reason why the 7-year-old shouldn't just win without Kyprios in the race?
Like us, gets better with age.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. No, I think he's got every chance. He'll be doing his usual style. He stays to 2.5 miles. You want to make sure everybody else does. Illinois obviously is a huge player now in the game, and I was impressed with the Aga Khan's horse who won the Vicomte Vonchier, I think it's called, in easy style 3 lengths. So this is a good Gold Cup. It's never a big field, but you do have to stay the trip. And 2.5 miles around there will test them. A lot of people fine up to 2. But the last 4 furlongs becomes uncharted territory, and that's when you find out.
Is Trawlerman the slightly stouter of the two, if you're talking about that extra?
Probably, in fairness, Sweet William is probably best at 2.25. But, the other boy, he gets a 2.5. But he kept running into Kyprios, which wasn't very pleasant. At least he didn't have to run into Stradivarius, that's something.
OK, so, Roger, Gold Cup for you. Is Aidan just going to step another middle distance horse up in trip and win them all this season, or we're going to France? John?
Well, I think it's interesting because there's two horses, the French horse and Aidan's horse, who have to prove themselves over that extended trip. Trawlerman's probably the safe bet. I don't know what price is. Is he each way?
I'll tell you 4 to 1.
Oh, bet for nothing.
Not a
8 runners.
Yeah,
that's not very generous.
Fitzdares will give you a quarter of the odds, I'm sure.
Bath, where are you?
No, interesting race because I think the king is not here anymore, so the throne is available, and there's a few interesting contenders. So I don't have a strong view on the race, but Trawlerman might be the safe hands.
Brownie?
Strong view, very strong view. The
like
French
that.
horse. Yeah,
Candelari.
Of anything we're nothing to do with, that'll be my nap of the week. I was very impressed with him last time. He hit the line strongly. He'll stay, big striding horse. I think he could be an impressive winner.
Wow, I like that confidence.
Unlike you to sit on the fence.
Yeah.
Is it rubbing off on you?
So I actually don't have an opinion personally, but I drove an owner here today who halfway here disclosed that he has a mole in the Aidan O'Brien yard and they cannot see Illinois getting beat.
Really?
Not my opinion, but that's apparently, and it's quite a good source, apparently.
Excellent.
So there you go.
All right. Any other moles we need to know about? Or
That's it.
Just the one.
That's it.
You've got a mole in Gozzies.
I do,
Yeah.
but I can't.
We'll save that for Saturdays.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some of the Thursday runners then. Richard, you're going to have an interesting representation in the Norfolk Stakes.
Yeah. I think we're going to run. It's still a little bit up in the air, to be honest with you. But the plan would be if the 2 go for the Coventry, that Naval Light, which is Carl Burke's horse, who was second with Brian Yeardley, he's going to go. I think he's more of a 6 furlong horse. I do, but obviously it's a stiff 5 at Ascot, and I can see him hitting the line strong. Everything went wrong for him at Beverley. He missed the break. The gaps didn't come. When the gaps did come, Sam James just gave him 1 tap, and he absolutely flew. I think he's going to be very generous off the bridle, and I think he'll go there with a fair shout. It's not the ideal trip. And then Case Clay, who's the Wathnan American representative sport called Sandal Song, who has come over. He's a really interesting runner, actually. He won at Gulfstream. and was really impressive. Obviously has a load of speed. I saw him yesterday just briefly. He's at the National Stud, and he looks a fair beast of a horse.
And didn't Crimson Advocate win one of the Gulfstream races before she won the Queen
exactly
Mary?
Right with the same trainer.
Yeah.
Before obviously she came back over here, so she won the Queen Mary after winning there with George Weaver. So it's the same.
Gabaldon very nearly won last year after that.
Yeah, and it's a formula that's worked, and I think he's a very interesting. I think he's probably quite a big price. I was quite surprised. I think he might be 20 to 1. So James McDonald will ride him, and I'd say he'll run a big race.
All right. Any other good things for Thursday, or shall I just drive on?
Slip on to Friday.
How many are you running in the back?
The audience are standing.
2 Buckingham Palace.
Just.
2 in the Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, a really interesting.
Donald was riding my horse in the Buckingham Palace, but he's clearly not.
He could actually, because I think William's available for us, so I think he could.
Great that we're sorting this all out now.
Find your. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that'll be fine.
Trading jockeys like cards.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a data breach at the BHA, but it's fine because we can sort it out on the back of the envelope here.
Very interesting horse we're running in the Buckingham Palace. Who won it last year, English Oak, and we just lost
kinda gone
him.
missing
Yeah,
since.
just completely lost him. We've run him 3 times this year and lost him again. He went to Hillwood Stud for Charlie Vigers, a great mate of mine, after his last run, and he's been out in the field for 10 days, and he's come back, and I think it might have been the making with him. He's £1 higher than he was last year. I don't know what price he is, but I think he's very interesting.
Great to have the stewards report before the race rather than after.
It smells funny to me. That.
Not at all. I wish we could.
Very dodgy to me.
Not at all. I wish it was, but it was just. I think sometimes they put in that brilliant performance, and it can take them quite a long time to come back.
And I know I'm going out of order, but if we're talking about big field handicaps, extremely remiss of me again to forget My Cloud in the Hunt Cup, who is a pretty short price now.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse, Nick. He's done nothing wrong this year. He's won his 2 races. He's bred to be very good. He's half brother to John's champion miler, Palace Pier.
Is he?
And he's just finding his feet. Big ask for an inexperienced horse in a 30-runner cavalry charge like the Hunt Cup, but pace of race might suit him. He handles the ground, and I haven't really seen today. We left him in how the numbers look, but hopefully we'll sneak in at the bottom of the weights, and we'll be hopeful of him.
Okay. Now, John has already instructed me that he doesn't want to touch the Commonwealth Cup and the Coronation Stakes because you don't have a runner in either of them.
No, kick on. You've
Okay,
got to
we'll kick on. Okay.
All these
Charlie
people are
Appleby's
getting very
horse
fed
has
up
gotta
with
be-
it.
That's got to
Do
be
you
a
think-
certainty. Not a certainty, but I think he's got to have a massive
There's a
chance.
Shadow of Light. in the
Shadow of
Commonwealth
Light back
Cup
in
on Friday.
trip.
It's about a 7 or 4 shot.
Yeah, it's got to be. I'd say
It's going to be
very
a
hard
huge
to
field,
beat.
isn't it?
Doesn't matter. He's the class horse. Shows the speed. That would be another. I'd be very strong on.
Are you going to run Liavani?
Yeah.
You going to run Realign?
No. We'll come on to him. We better put that Palace of Holyrood house down.
Aha. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, you
I
can
think
do
he's
that
very
now.
interesting. Well, there was a thought process to perhaps going to the Commonwealth with him, but he got 93, and I think that whilst he's probably more of a 6 furlong horse, again the stiff 5 should get away with it. I hope, and he'd be one of our big shots. of
Mr.
the week.
Haggis is not going to let you get away with ruining a mark of 93, is he?
Well, I've sort of more forced him towards it, really, to be honest with you. He likes this horse plenty, and I'd say that he might be. I'm hoping he's a group horse in a handicap.
Alrighty, Charlie. If you could have one in the Commonwealth Cup, would it be Shadow of Light? Would you just keeping it simple, or would you field against it?
Yes.
Okay. This is all looking
Simple.
This is all looking
We've agreed.
very
We have
predictable
agreed.
and very boring. Is it really just as straightforward as that? You got Babouche in there, Ides of March in there.
It's never that straightforward.
No, that's what I'm
you
thinking.
know that.
Sorry,
John,
Nick, I can't think of completely bamboo. Did Richard just say Group 1 horse running off 93 in a handicap?
No, I said a group horse in a handicap.
I can't think of a Commonwealth Cup.
Quick, get on.
Group horse in a handicap, not Group 1.
People have been arrested for less than this.
Yeah. Just in case anyone didn't hear, the horse in question is Realign in the Palace of Holyrood House handicap. Off the top of my head, I can't actually remember what day that is. Can you?
That is
5 furlong
Friday.
handicap,
Friday.
3-year-olds, Friday. Thank you very much. Palace of Holyrood House, Realign. There we are.
Group horse handicap.
Nobody wants to talk
Haggis,
about it.
can you imagine the bollocking I'm going to get from Haggis in the morning? Anyway, for me, he's
the
one of
only
our
reason I've
big
underlined
chances.
it.
I know, thank you. Yeah, just to
With
really,
double red
yeah,
pen.
exactly. Yeah, he's one of our big shots, I think.
Okay, fine. So no one wants to talk about the Commonwealth Cup anymore, clearly. So we'll move on to the Coronation Stakes. Now, Zaragana, in the absence of She's Perfect, is going to be quite a hot favourite here, I would have thought, Charlie. You got a pretty good idea as to what she achieved in the Pouliche. Is it good enough just to go and win the Coronation Stakes again? And how tempted were you to go in for the rematch?
Well, after Late Victoria dropped out, it definitely was talked about. But she's very talented. Zaragano is very talented, but she's quirky. She's not straightforward. But I do think Ascot will suit her. And with Late Victoria coming out, I think she's going to be extremely hard to beat. Essentially that was why we decided to go to the Diane. We felt that we're favourite for the Diane, and we would be second, third favourite for the Coronation. Second now, Late Victoria's out. So I think it's sad because it's lost. Late Victoria versus Zaragano would have been an absolute belter of a race. So it's disappointing that she's dropped out.
Is there any shot that Owen Burrows might still get Fellowes in the Coronation Stakes, do we think?
We can call him, but I'm not sure.
What about Jane Chapel-Hyams, Philly?
Yes, she's running. She's supplementing
Kontiki, yeah.
I've got a sneaky one.
Oh, go on, I like that.
Well, I don't know if it runs, but I like the filly. Maybe you can tell me if it runs. Is that Ammo filly with Rafe, who was fourth.
Cathedral.
In a very good Chartwell Stakes. We were second in that race, and we won on Saturday, the listed race at Musselburgh. I think John was third in the Chartwell. His filly bolted up at Epsom on Saturday.
Spiritual.
Yeah. Race filly was fourth. 3-year-old inexperienced against the older horses at a sharp track like Lingfield.
Should be a big price if she runs.
But she looked very good last year.
She did.
Second in her Group 2 on her second start.
Got to get in a stiff marker.
I think she'll get it.
Too darn hot, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's too darn hot.
She's in the race. I think the race is wide open since...
Late Victoria's gone.
Yeah. And I think that Francis's filly is beatable.
She's quirky.
Yeah.
She's definitely beatable.
He quite openly says it as well.
She's not straightforward.
I think
Big occasion like that as well.
Could be. And travelling over here, she's never done that.
Yeah.
I just sent Rafe a WhatsApp, so who knows?
Might answer.
He might. He's pretty good.
Is he?
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Your phone might explode.
Alrighty, that is Friday. We ought to just touch on the Albany, oughtn't we?
No,
are you
well,
out
not for us?
Are you out of the Albany?
Yeah, we've got nothing in the Albany.
John, have you got a 2-year-old running?
Yeah, in the Albany.
Yeah.
I told him, don't bother coming. You'll only see the backside of us.
You've won the Albany before.
Yes.
I can't remember the
Newfangled.
Newfangled. That's it. So have we got another one?
Yeah, a lovely filly. She won second time out. She'll enjoy the track. I'd like it to be over 7 furlongs. She'd be even happier.
Remind me her name.
Naktima.
Okay.
No, I'm changing her name, don't worry. No, she's a grand filly and she'll run well and she'll probably be about 10 to 1.
All right. And would that be a decent bet, 10 to 1?
Absolutely. Get on that.
Good. Excellent. This is what we like. Charlie, your other two go on Saturday, don't they? Gorak and Vadream?
Gorak Buckingham Palace is Thursday.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then Saturday.
Days are all over the shop.
Yeah.
Gorak's run a fantastic race there before.
He's actually been brutally unlucky. He won his side 2 years ago, and then he was second on his side last year. And both sides he's been the wrong side. Literally, you couldn't write it. So hopefully he can get a good draw this year. He's been freshened up.
And all the Aussies still in him?
Yep.
They are?
Yeah.
Jason Richardson,
everyone in him. A few of them coming over.
Good stuff.
He's so solid, but he's been very unlucky in the race.
And Vadream is running in a handicap?
Well, at this stage, I think we're probably going to go for the Wokium. She's running off 99, which is the lowest mark she's been off for a long time. She was 5th in the Diamond Jubilee last year, ran to a mark of 108. If she puts up that performance again this year on quick ground, it was quick ground. Everyone thinks she's a mudlark. She's not a mudlark. She just needs a strong pace to aim at. If she puts up the same performance this year, she'll go very close off that.
All right. Roger, the obvious one I haven't talked about that is definitely entered at the moment is Rahib in the Queen's Vase. Mm-hmm. Is that what's going to run?
He's going to run, absolutely, yeah. He's in great form. Actually, a horse we should talk about because he was bred on my farm here.
Oh.
Bred, born on my farm, consigned by Newsells, purchased by Sheikh Ahmed at Book 1 2 years ago. a lovely horse, very strong family, comes from a family of Nathaniel. And this horse would be in jail if he was human. He was a thug as a young horse, I have to say. And I rang Mohammed Shehi in February, and Mohammed Shehi looks after Sheikh Ahmed's racing interests, and I said to Mohammed, I said, I know that His Highness Sheikh Ahmed doesn't love the idea of winter runners on the all-weather, but I said, if you don't allow me to run this horse at Newcastle in February, my next phone call will be, you might have to castrate this horse. Because he was a hard horse to work with, very boisterous, full of himself, hard to get him to focus. And we ran him at February to get his back down, really, and he won. And he won like a jolly nice horse. And he's actually not won since, but he's ran second 3 times, and he's ran 3 great races in defeat. 2 really good weight-carrying performances, giving away a winner's penalty in novices. And his run at York, and this is a horse we should mention, his run at York when he gave a horse called Mershon of William Haggis's £8 in a 1.5-mile handicap at the Dante meeting, I think will work out to be a very strong piece of form. We like our horse, and I don't know what race at Royal Ascot Merchant runs in.
He'll go for the King George
But I
V,
think if he's in the King George V,
I'd say he'll go for that. I'd say he's a massive chance.
he'll be very interesting. But I think Rahib is a strong staying horse. He's improving week by week. He's done nothing wrong on the race course. His manners have improved with racing, and I think the Vars will suit him really well.
I'm learning a lot tonight. This is fantastic stuff.
Sounds like inside information to me.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's brilliant. And
I'm not sure I guess
Haggis is going to kill us both now. Merchant's a really massive bet.
William's a friend of the show.
Make sure you get the early prices, by the way. Make sure you get the early prices.
He's a friend of the show. Queen's Vars, is Nightwalker going to come back again after?
You might do, yeah.
Is he okay after the derby?
Yeah, he had a nice lob around at the back.
Yeah.
He's fine.
No harm done. And are you going to run Devil's Advocate as well?
Not sure whether we'll go King Edward or there.
What's tipping
Baldrick
the scales?
hasn't made his mind up.
All right, okay. Shall I ring Baldrick and ask?
Yeah. You won't get anything out of him.
No, I know. Alrighty, let's just round off in terms of races with the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee on Saturday, because you know what, you look at this, the better a race it becomes. Good sprint. Lazat is going to be right up there at the front of the betting for you guys, and you've also got Kind of Blue as well, who won the Champions Sprint. Roger, if you were to pluck one out of here, which would it be?
I think the 2 horses that you just mentioned are exceptional horses. Probably might be fair to say both would love just a bit of ease in the ground. I'd love to see Kind of Blue win for Mike and Michelle, who are here tonight, bred him, of course. And I would love to see Lazat win for Nerlan Bizakov, big owner of mine who owned Sharon, of course, and many other good horses. And, you know, he's a breeder of Lazat. And also I'd love to see Lazat win for Richard. Can I put a word in? Can I be kind to anyone else? Who else can win? Can it be a dead heat?
Triple dead heat.
It does look a good race. I mean, in a Sharon, obviously, on the Duke of York, looks very solid. Storm Boy, is he going to run? Don't know. You know, he was obviously a little bit disappointing on his comeback, but he's still he's high up there in the market, so you wouldn't obviously write Aiden off. He could bounce back. And I think our other filly, Flora Bermuda, she was unlucky in the Duke of York, really. So, you know, there's one of 5 or 6 that could win that.
I think this could be one for Japan.
Yeah, and there's the Japanese horses.
Turner Rev. I mean, that form with Ka Ying Rising is good form.
And looked very good yesterday morning on the July course, yeah.
What do you think?
You'd have to respect them anywhere they go in the world. You've got to respect them. And I think on fast ground,
proper form.
You know, I think the place they perhaps haven't cracked, and they've cracked most places around the world, the place they haven't perhaps cracked yet is some of the big European meets, but I think sometimes they're coming in such foreign conditions, whether it's very soft ground or very undulating tracks.
The ground's undone.
I think you get Ascot 6 furlongs.
Fast.
Yeah. Have to give them respect.
It's going to be hot next week as well, isn't it? Hot and dry.
24, 25.
Yeah. John, which horse would you like to train in the Jubilee? If you could have one of these, Lazat in a Sharon
I'll be loyal
Storm
to the Japanese.
Saturno
I went
Rep.
so quick on the July course, I saw a Swift couldn't keep up with it.
I like the headline where it said, there was a headline in one of the papers that said, horse outruns car on the July course. Yeah, well, the car's going at 38 miles an hour, the horse is going
You know, a
at
Swift can
39.
go up to 70.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, very good. Okay, that is the Jubilee. Anything else on Saturday? Any takers for anything else on
And
Saturday?
you get to the desperate last, don't you?
The Hardwick Stakes? The
No,
Queen
the
Alex? Have you got
handicaps.
one in the Queen Alex?
No, not the last. That's 2 miles 6.
The
We're all
Wokingham?
driving home then. No, you know the one, the last one.
What's the last?
The penultimate one's the Golden Gates, is it?
The Golden Gate.
You've obviously got one you
He's got one
fancy
in
in
the
this.
Golden
He's
Gate. Yeah,
angling
this
us
is
towards the Golden
this
Gate.
is-
They've won out.
Here we
for
go.
it.
Here we go.
I like this.
Yeah. Just forgot to geld him, that's all.
Give us a name, John.
Well, it's a horse. It's a horse that we bought that hasn't actually. We've only
Oh,
just.
it's one of yours.
Yeah,
Putting the
well,
pressure back on.
God.
he is now. Nobody. We haven't. It hasn't really been. Well, it has been announced now. So, a horse called Ernst Blofeld.
Right, yep.
Yeah, finished fourth in the London Gold Cup. Big. I mean, he's a beast of a horse, isn't he, John? I was so impressed when I saw him. He's a monster. Had 4 quick runs, and now obviously they've managed to back off him and then hopefully build up to this. And I think he's a horse. He worked well yesterday.
Yeah,
didn't
he's
he?
in
I think
good
it's a
form.
horse that could go well.
He's in good form. If you're absolutely desperate and broke at the end, have 10 bob each way
Yes,
on here.
yes,
and
yes,
then run.
yes, we are.
Yeah.
Perfect. Ernst Blofeld, that'll do. Nicely done. We talked about the Dream, we talked about Gorak. Any of yours I'm obviously missing?
I think you've covered everything.
Very unlikely. That's the problem with this time of the week, is you got half the entries till about Wednesday, Thursday, and the rest is all subterfuge. But I think we've got some excellent nuggets out of our panel. I'll just maybe round off with the best bet of the week, best couple of bets of the week for you, Roger, whether they're yours or anybody else's.
Oh, put me on the spot.
Do you want a bit of time to think about it?
Yeah,
How long
we
have
do.
you got? Well, I have to speak from our own stable. I think Enfajar's an each-way chance in the Wolferton. Couldn't put you off. My Cloud in the Hunt Cup.
I'm sorry, Roger.
A bit louder, please, Roger, just so they can hear your tips.
Enfajar in the...
Yeah. We like Enfajar. Tough racing all week. We like My Cloud in the Hunt Cup.
Brownie.
There is a horse of ours that we haven't mentioned that's in the Wolferton. We're going up against.
How many have
you.
I missed, actually? Seriously?
No, you haven't missed very
20.
many. No, you haven't missed very many. But I think this is quite an interesting one because I think generally everyone seems to love this horse. We're upping Heart M to a mile and a quarter,
Okay.
and we're going to go and take you on over that trip. He looked a little bit flat-footed in France the other day. They sort of, it was messy. And then sprinted, typical French race, but he completely switches off this horse, and that'll give him every chance to stay. And I think he's a multiple classic placed horse, dropping back to a listed race. I think he's very interesting.
Charlie, give us a couple.
You're going to hate me. Duke of Edinburgh, horse called Al Moshe.
Oh, I did miss one.
Yeah, we bought that one.
Really, really proper horse, very nice horse, and definitely is not at the ceiling of his ability yet.
When did you buy that one?
So he won the good handicap at York, and yeah, we bought him after that.
Okay.
And again, he's a horse. To be fair, Charlie had put on my radar because you trained him earlier, and he said he hadn't even run. He said you need to watch this horse, and we're like yeah. And then he went, and he's ended up moving, gone up to Carl's. I think he probably needs he probably needs every bit of that trip. Carl had the Ebor in his mind, but yeah, I think he'll go well.
Okay. John, drum roll.
Well, I'll go to the Gold Cup and trawl a man on the basis that whoever goes by him will know they've been in a really hard race.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a great result. And when William got off him at Sandown, he was beaming from ear to ear. It was like
That's because he went too slow in the Gold Cup in Dubai. Your jockey joke, James said he finally let the handbrake off.
Okay, Trawlerman, and what about?
No, that's enough.
2.5
miles to enjoy
Come on
him.
now. I'm still coming in under an hour. Ernst Blofeld got a big shout, I thought.
I was just winding him up.
Oh, you're just winding him up,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. What about one more for us?
No, the bell went.
I'll give another one of yours, which is also we've got together. Wicked if he sneaks in the bottom in the.
He's got to get in.
If he sneaks in
If
at
he
the
gets in
bottom,
off 85,
the Britannia.
if he gets in off 80,
Britannia.
It's very hard to get in
the
off
other
80.
one.
I've won it off 82. You don't really get in off 85.
Yeah.
In which race?
Well, we're going to put him in the Britannia under the mile and a quarter and see if he sneaks
Yeah.
in. I think he'd be better in the mile and a quarter. Then.
Yeah, well, you might sneak in there and beat him
might.
at Blofeld,
Yeah.
then you'll really be popular.
Okay. Well, everybody, Richard Brown will be taking questions about the remaining 52 down the bottom of the garden later. But thank you all so much. You've been a brilliantly attentive and lovely audience. It's such a pleasure to welcome you all to this Nick Luck Daily Pod live. Thanks to all our supporters as well, Fitzdares, of course, and Darren and the team at Quintessentially, and most importantly of all, Graham Smith-Burnell and his family, Marcella and family, for hosting us here at Newsells Park Stud. Thank you all very much. Rafe Beckett's been on. Oh. No idea.